This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
Welcome in, everyone, to this week's edition of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Adam the Jock Straczynski. On today's show, this TNA name was expected to sign here, but may be going down the street. Absolutely crazy story about this man wrestling with no fear. And finally, an update on Shane McMahon to AEW. Also, it was a bit of a mixed bag with wrestling this week. We're going to break it all down. WWE had some highlights, and I feel like they had some very, very low lights, as well as AEW did some confusing things. We're going to talk about all of it, helping me sort through the fray and give his awesome opinion on every single topic we've got. He's the one. He's the only. He is the Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, cuz?
Audience, I don't want your listenership. I don't want your like and subscribe. I don't need that. I want your soul. And I want you to put those earbuds in and listen to every word carefully. The DOC is about to preach for the next 60 minutes. And when you listen, you become enlightened. And when you're enlightened, you're much happier. And even though you're getting this for free, take it from me. This podcast is going to be absolutely fantastic. Cuz what's happening?
Do you want to just start right there? I figured we'd start a little positive, but we can start with the negative. What do you want to do? Do you want to start positive? Or do you want to start negative? Because I had a set to start with Monday Night Raw because I thought Raw was pretty good.
Let's build up.
I struggled. I struggled with SmackDown.
Yeah, let's build up to it because it was surprising. And let's start with Raw and what went down there. I thought it was a good show and started to set the table even more for WrestleMania. And you had some intriguing. And look, man, Penta is doing his thing and taking advantage of all the opportunities that he's got. So I thought Raw definitely set the stage for what the week that was for WWE.
Yeah, I thought Raw was, if you had to pick a show this week, I'm just going to do my show of the week. If you have to pick a show this week, go watch Raw. I thought Raw was really well done. So there was a lot of news that came out of Raw, too, and it helped set up a lot of stuff for Elimination Chamber. I think it also helps set up where we're headed with WrestleMania. And one of the matches that we've got for Elimination Chamber, we've got Sami and Kevin Owens. It's going to be an unsanctioned match. This was announced on Monday night. Sami's in the ring, and he's begging for a match against Kevin Owens. And you've got Adam Pearce, who played a fantastic role in all of this, is basically like, look, you're not cleared. They're not going to let you wrestle. But I can give you a match, but it's unsanctioned. And Sami takes it, and he's willing to run with it. I want to get your thoughts on this because we talk a lot about Sami Zayn. We talk a lot about Kevin Owens. We talk about a lot about their unending rivalry with each other, their constant fighting with each other. And we always make jokes. We're like, this is Sami and Kevin 1,476th fight against each other. These guys have been tied to each other since they were on the indie scene. They've been tied to each other in NXT. They've been tied to each other on the main roster here in WWE. We're now getting an unsanctioned match from them. They're going to be in Toronto. Obviously, they're both Canadian. I want to get your thoughts on what you think this match could be, because I could see this being one of their greatest matches they've ever had. I could also see this being confined a little bit with some of what WWE does, where they put the guardrails up and they don't really let these guys go all crazy and do the things that they've done in the past. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have a match in ROH that was, I believe, an unsanctioned match, and it's one of the greatest matches you'll ever watch in your entire life. And I thought at one point Sami Zayn was going to kill himself in this match. I'm wondering if we get something like that at Elimination Chamber, if it can somehow get to that level or maybe top that match. What do you think the height of this match could be?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And here's what the deal is. When you look at it from the perspective of why do this match? Well, it's because it's in Canada. The boys are going to show out. And, I did watch some of the, every week on A&E, they do their recap of wrestling. They do their creative shows, and they recapped and they replayed Shawn versus Brett. And they said, look, man, we're so disappointed that it went down the way it did because their styles were so enmeshed and they worked so well together that they said, Shawn Michaels said, man, I'm so disappointed it went down really the way it did, because we could have had one match a year for the next 10 years and it would have been well because of the chemistry. And this is what it is. These two can tell the story. I just don't think they need to be in prolonged stories anymore because they have such a history, but they should fight once a year just to remind each other just how good each other, like a heat check. Hey, where are we at?
Mhm.
What's going on with our audience? What's going on with our storytelling? Let's just put the match together. Look, they inevitably have interesting and contrasting styles, and in Canada, I think that will also make a match better too, with the crowd involvement and what
Just
they're willing
kind of
to do.
adds to it.
Yes, it just will add to it, and I do think they'll go all out, but they do have to remind themselves, hey, the biggest thing is, just like in sports, the best ability is availability. So just walk up to that line. I don't need the gore. Just tell a good story. Be entertaining. Get after it. One or two high spots, and just I just hope one or these two are going to. I just hope both of these performers walk out healthy. I think there's a greater than 50% chance one of these two might end up being out for 6 weeks, and so let's just hope they walk away healthy from this match.
Yeah, hopefully nobody gets hurt. Unsanctioned matches are always a little bit of a mixed bag, right? Because they can be really, really great, or like you said, they can be really, really gory, and somebody can get really, really hurt. Hopefully nobody gets injured. Hopefully it's a fantastic match. I think these two, like you said, the chemistry between them is out of this world. So I think it will be a good match. I hope it gets to that level of that ROH match, just maybe without all of the insanity where I thought Sami Zayn was going to die in the ring. We'll see, though. Should be great. It's another reason to tune in to Elimination Chamber next week. Something else that we've got building, and they're on a collision course, is AJ Styles, Braun Breaker. This looks like it's going to be an awesome match. AJ Styles had a match with Dominic Mysterio, ends up beating Dominic Mysterio. Braun Breaker slides into the ring, and he goes to spear AJ Styles. AJ Styles moves out of the way, and Dominic Mysterio takes the brunt of it. There was this cool little moment where Braun Breaker's on the outside, rips his T-shirt off, and he throws it into the ring, and AJ Styles goes to grab the T-shirt with his left hand, which is closest to Braun Breaker, while having his right hand just below his left hand. And the T-shirt, he ends up swiping for it with the left, but he grabs it with the right. It was really cool to see. You can go find it on the internet. I recommend you go check it out. This match looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. This match looks like this could be one of those matches that really helps elevate Braun Breaker. I didn't really realize it, but they did this close-up on AJ Styles, and man, he looks old. Like, AJ Styles forever and a day always looked like that little punchy kid. He always looked younger than what he was. He looks like he is older, man. And it's sad sometimes when you see some of your wrestling heroes just kind of get to that point where it's like, all right, there ain't a whole lot left in the tank. And AJ Styles has been telling us for a while, there ain't a whole lot left in the tank. I don't know how much more I got. And I think this will be one of the matches where he helps kind of pass it down and he helps elevate a guy like Braun Breaker. I want to get your thoughts on what your thoughts are with this match, because I think this could be I think it could be fantastic. Again, you talked about contrasting styles a few moments ago. These guys have contrasting styles. Braun Breaker is all power and he's a ton of speed. AJ Styles at this point in his career is more style. He is more springboards off the top rope. He's more methodical with what he does in the ring. So you've got two guys who are just at completely different points in their career, for one, but they wrestle differently as well. So I think that could be a lot of fun to see. And I think AJ Styles is a guy who understands the business. He does business the right way. I think it's a way to help elevate somebody who you see a lot in. And we talked about this late last year. Braun Breaker is going to get a monster push. We've seen it here and there. It's kind of been a little stop and start. But at some point, they're going to invest heavily in Braun Breaker. They see him almost as if he is the next Brock Lesnar. Maybe a John Cena, but a little bit more muscular. So they see him as their next meal ticket. So he's going to get a lot of time. And I think going up against an all-star like AJ Styles is absolutely fantastic for him. And I think it could help set him on his way. Are you excited for this match? What do you think this match looks like? Is it as awesome as I think it's going to look, or do you see something a little bit different?
Yeah, I look at it from the perspective of AJ in 4K. Maybe he's not doing it for you. So I see that, AJ Styles has been through the wars, and I see a character that's been around the world, and you look at AJ Styles, and you see a performer that has done everything. But yeah, when you're in the ring that long, cause that lifestyle is crazy. When you look at the travel, when you look at all the stuff that they got going on and how stuff goes, yeah, he's weathered. He's been through the wars. But I love the fact that now when you have an opportunity with the Braun Breaker, this match should really elevate Braun Breaker. AJ's a made man, and so you just want him to continue to put guys over. And what stinks is for guys that are a little bit shorter is they got to put more work on their body. And I just think for him now, the next 2-3 years, just work smarter, get these guys over, do a little bit more of the psychology. And unfortunately, though, he just got to kind of find a way to still be relevant, even though you're not going to be the same high-flying guy. But he just works such a physical style that's why this new schedule for AJ Styles should work for him in a much better way, in my opinion, to just kind of help. And you're absolutely right. That was a great moment catching the shirt there. It's gone viral. So AJ Styles can still be relevant, definitely elevating the other guys on the roster.
Yeah, he's at this point, like I said, he's at this point in his career where I feel like it's just going to be about doing business, right? I don't know how much longer he has on his contract. I think he's probably only got maybe another 6 months to maybe 18 months. So I think for him, it's all about doing things that are going to help set up that next generation. Look, when he had his Liz Frank injury, he wasn't sure he was going to be able to come back. The fact that he is able to come back and the fact that he is able to still do the phenomenal forearm off the top rope is really impressive. A Liz Frank injury is nothing to mess around with, and guys usually come back less than what they were before they had it. The fact that he's still in the ring, still able to do it. And look, I think he's got the right mindset. You're right. He does look a little bit weathered in 4K. It's probably not great, but this guy still goes out there and still wrestles fantastic matches. I thought the match against Dominic was really, really good, which set up the whole thing with Braun Breaker. So I like where WWE is tracking with these two matches. Again, you've got something set up for Elimination Chamber. You now have something set up for WrestleMania. The other big news that kind of came out of Monday Night Raw was Seth Rollins and both Roxanne Perez both qualified for the Chamber. I don't think there was any big surprise there when you kind of looked at what was going on. You kind of filled those two guys in. You knew that was the deal. Something that did bother me is it has just more issues with storytelling and specifically with this match, right? We had Dakota Kai taking on Ivy Nile. The winner gets to challenge Lyra Valkyria for the Intercontinental Championship belt for the women. So we've been telling this story for weeks now where Ivy Nile keeps showing up and she keeps getting in Lyra's face and she's saying, I'm coming for your belt, I'm coming for your belt. There's this whole story with American Made where Chad Gable's like, I'm going to leave. When I come back, I want you guys all to have belts. And Ivy Nile still hasn't had a shot at getting a belt. So how is she going to get her belt? You have multiple stories going on, and yet you have Dakota Kai beat Ivy Nile for the chance to challenge Lyra Valkyria for that Intercontinental Championship. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why you give Dakota Kai another opportunity when the storyline that we've had is for Ivy Nile to get that chance. On top of it, if you go back and you watch this match, there's so many issues in this match. Dakota Kai no-sells her knee throughout this match. Like Ivy Nile is working on the leg, working on the knee, and she's repeatedly giving blows to it. There are points in this match where Dakota Kai pops up, no-sells it, and just starts running on it. Doesn't even hop on it. Doesn't look like it's banged up. Again, the storyline of it bothers me because you've been invested so much time in Ivy Nile. And look, I think Ivy Nile, I'm interested in her. I'm intrigued in her. I have zero interest in Dakota Kai. I have zero interest in her little Spider-Man thing when she comes out. I've got zero interest in Dakota Kai. Ivy Nile, I have a little bit of an interest. I think she's got a very unique look. I think she could move in the ring. I think her big hindrance is she's like 4 foot tall. So it's difficult for shorter wrestlers inside of the big ring, inside the 20 by 20 ring that the WWE wrestles with. It's harder for them to kind of move around because the ring is so much bigger and they look so much smaller inside that ring. But I don't get where we're going with this. I'm not sure if you watched how closely you paid attention to this match. I'm wondering if you've seen some of the non-selling by Dakota Kai and some of the sloppy work on her behalf in this match. And I'm wondering if you think the same thing. If we've been building Ivy Nile, we've been building American Made, we've been telling this story, and yet we're going to deviate, we're going to go down this road with Dakota Kai when the layup is right there. What makes sense and what is easy is right there.
100%. I agree with you. I thought that. I looked at it. My note was why not elevate Ivy? I thought that when you look at the performances, Dakota Kai's been through the wars. She's done things. It's just kind of a repeat and rinse and repeat over and over. So you're absolutely right. And I just think that my overall thought for the women this week, I didn't think they had a great week, and which is weird because they started, online. I don't know if you saw that they were kind of, I don't know if it's true or not based on who was reporting it. I didn't focus on it, but it made sense that they said that the report was that there's some whispers that some of the women are not happy with Triple H's booking. They're not getting the level of storytelling. Well, unfortunately, when you have botches and matches that aren't that great, it's unfortunate that you have Charlotte, you have Tiff Time, you have like two others. But unfortunately, the rest of the mid-card has to step it up. Like, you got to take your spot, and they're not going to just hand it to you. So I just thought in this case, you're absolutely right. Dakota Kai's match was not as clean as and the work that she did recently. I just think that she could do a lot better moving forward.
I think the other thing that kind of came out of Monday Night Raw, this was a jam-packed episode of Monday Night Raw. We've covered a lot so far. Judgment Day is really trying to work on this possibility of adding a new member. There's obviously a lot of internal tension in the group. I wanted to get a sense because I racked my brain all week and I couldn't really come up with anybody. And I'm wondering if maybe you have somebody off the top of your head, because sometimes you see things a little differently than me. And a lot of times you have this very quick recall where you're like, I would add this guy or I would do this. And I love that about doing this show with you. Who would you add to the Judgment Day? Or is it as simple as addition by subtraction and you kick Finn Balor out? Like Finn Balor had a match against Seth Rollins. And if you look at that match, Finn Balor was very slow to kick out. The referee had to hold his hand so he didn't get the 3 count. And Finn Balor lost clean to Seth Rollins. There was no interference. Finn Balor just lost this match. So maybe Finn Balor's the weak link with Judgment Day, and maybe they just kick him out, and it's simply addition by subtraction by removing Finn Balor. Or is there somebody else that you would like to see added to the Judgment Day group?
Right? Everyone's talking. Should someone be added? I think the natural fit is Karrion Kross. I just think we talked about it, that he's been out there. He lost his crew, so why not go out there and showcase what you can do with the character? Yeah, Finn Balor, it's unique because I don't know if you've heard the tease about, potentially his WrestleMania opponent, but I look at it from the perspective of, hey, the Judgment Day needs to go out there and continue to elevate Dominic a little bit, get JD when he comes back a little bit over. But yeah, the Judgment Day and Finn Balor kind of have been this holding pattern. It's unique, they're interesting, but unfortunately Finn losing to Seth, still good matches, but I think they could do much better.
Let's get into what we kind of teased when we opened the show. And I'm just going to say it because it's in my notes. SmackDown was fucking trash. I wanted to shut it off at the hour and 20 minute mark. I text you and I was like, dude, I'm an hour and 20 minutes in and this sucks. Like SmackDown as a whole, the show was absolute garbage. After the hour and 20 minute mark, we finally got Tiffany Stratton. She had a match. There were a bunch of botches in it. There was a nipple flash. So if you want to go see Tiffany Stratton's nipple, you can find that on the internet. Nia Jax, I thought she looked like a clown. I thought what she did in the post-match beatdown, I thought it came off as soft. I thought she ruined a couple of spots. Then you had Trish Stratus, who looked very, very stiff, looked like a robot, did not look fluid. She looked like she's been out of practice. It wasn't very good. And then from there, it only got worse because we then got The Rock. And look, I think the main reason this show sucked and the main reason this show was as bad as it was because The Rock said he was going to show up. The Rock decided to show up. And so what happened is Triple H had to rewrite the entire show in basically 24 hours. And Triple H does not like to do that. You could tell what was cut from the show. You had a Liv Morgan and Naomi match that was set up. That match never got underway. You ended up having Liv and Raquel take out Bianca Belair and Naomi before the match ever started. So you ended up giving them, instead of giving them their 20 minutes for their match, you ended up giving them 5 for a beatdown. There were other matches that were cut short. DIY had a tag team match against the two pretty dudes. I can't remember their name off the top of my head. But you ended up having the Street Profits come out, and they ended up interrupting that match. So that match didn't get its time, and you cut that match in half. So because The Rock shows up, and The Rock then gets in the ring and cuts the most rambly promo, and it's censored, Phil, too, which is a big issue because you can't hear half of what he's saying because they've got to dump it, which is annoying. But he's just kind of all over the place. And this guy's character, it feels like he doesn't know what he wants to do. It feels like he wants to be a face, but he's a heel, and he has to play this heel character. And he comes out and he just kind of cuts this promo and he announces that WrestleMania next year is going to be in New Orleans. So the crowd pops, and then he cuts in on the crowd that he just put over, which didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then you end up calling Cody Rhodes out, and it almost felt like he wanted to take him in the back corner and blow him. Like it was at one point it was pretty uncomfortable, man. Like it was so weird. And he talks about how, you know, he screwed him out of his WrestleMania moment last year, but now we're best friends. We drink tequila and he kept iterating. We're best friends. We drink tequila. Our moms are together. We text a lot. We do stuff. And I can get you from here to up here because you're right here, but I can get you here. And we're best friends. And we drink tequila, and your mom and my mom, Mama Rock and Mama Rhodes, and we're here and this and that, and we're best friends. He just kept reiterating the same things over and over and over and over, and then he finally got caught in this loop, and then he just kind of would ramble his way out of it just to get caught back in that loop of being best friends and their moms and drinking and texting and blah, 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 blah. And in the end, what he says to Cody is, I want your soul. I didn't get this at all. There was a point where me and you were texting through all of this because I was becoming unhinged because I was so annoyed that I had wasted my Friday night watching this episode of SmackDown. And I don't tweet a whole lot. You can go find my tweets. I kind of lost my shit. I sent it to The Rock. I sent it to Triple H. I sent it to Road Dogg. I sent it to the WWE. I sent it to the WWE Universe. I was pissed. I went to bed mad because this entire show suffered because of this segment, which was absolute garbage. Through the course of you and I texting, I asked you, I said, do you feel like this is that weird Stone Cold corporate character where Vince was the corporate authority, and they ended up basically ruining Stone Cold's character, and they turned Stone Cold into the corporate Stone Cold, which was not great, and it really did sabotage an era of wrestling. Like WWE at one point started to kind of hit the skids a little bit and struggle, and then they did this, and then it really sucked the life out of WWE for a long time. To me, this is kind of what this moment felt like. I don't need to see The Rock on television anymore. I don't want to see The Rock in a wrestling ring. I don't know how many times I've got to see your chicken skin because you've got goosebumps and then you make it the camera zoom in on your fucking forearm. I don't care, bro. I don't care. You are a relic at this point. I need you to stay on the shelf. Please do not step foot in a wrestling ring anymore because you ruin everything good that Triple H has done. Look, I want to get your thoughts on all of this because I know I've just ranted for about 5 minutes, maybe 10. I don't even know. I don't want to take all of it away because there's a lot for us to delve into, and there's a lot of meat on this bone because it was so freaking bad. And there were so many things that really bothered me with this, and I know things bothered you. What was your take on, I guess, the first little bit of SmackDown, which we both agreed was trash, and then to the point where we got to The Rock? Because there was a point where you and I were texting, and you're like, this Rock segment better be good. And boy, right. It was not fucking good.
Yeah, because, you know, Jey Uso wins, it's fine. It just felt like a lot of irrelevant type stuff. And then it felt like they were building to like, okay, let's keep everything low key until we get to The Rock. So The Rock segment was supposed to deliver. So as you were talking, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to appeal to the gay audience. Maybe The Rock and Cody can be something special that can be appealing to the next audience that they have not tapped into yet. But no, in all seriousness, look, in the end, it's funny in that The Rock and they're harkening back to the past with this character. Like The Rock now is in some way the cooler version of Vince, and now he wants to kind of interject the real life aspect of, hey, I work for TKO and Cody, you're the big seller, and I think that you and I partnering together can have an opportunity to be successful. And look, you know, outside of The Rock, here's the thing. It was just, you have a great idea, which is, okay, what's this relationship now mean between The Rock and Cody? What does it mean? Does Cody want to be elevated? Does he want to be corporate? Does he want to be somebody that's viewed in that light? No problem. Maybe move away from being a fan favorite and more into some selfish areas of his personality. So in the end, this will benefit Cody in some way. The issue is you start with a good idea. Now the next step is when you take it to a segment, if you're going to show up, you at least say, hey, let's prepare it in a better way. And I think that The Rock clearly is a figure that can go 30 minutes if he wants it. He can tell Triple H, hey, I can do this. But no, if you're The Rock, also recognize there's value in less. Less is more. I can't believe the simple adage that everybody knows in wrestling, less is more. You could have did all of what they did there in 10 minutes. Like, hey, Cody, real simple. Cody, I've watched you. You've done us proud. And I think it's time for you to take the next step, even beyond you being a face of this company. And that's it. He goes, I've got my eye on you. I need you to kind of think about your future. And I'm ready to step in here and give you what you want in this life. But there's going to be some sacrifices. And it may test your soul. It may test your loyalties. It may test your friendships. But I'm here. And I'm here to show you why this is important. And why I think you and I working together can take over not only this world, but we can take over a lot of worlds. Think it over. I know that you want to be a fan favorite. I know you want to come out here. I know you want to be the guy. But I think I see something in you that's different. Something that I relate to. And then walk off. That's it. All that other shit was fat. Like, I understand, like, you and I, cuz I want to let people know, sometimes we talk more than the show length actually is because we do something after the show. That's why I love the fact that we're not live. It's something that we call editing. Every show that has been put out by us has been listened to before we air it. And we trim some shit like, he said this, I said this, we forgot names, we did this. We give you the best version of the show because we trimmed the fat. We trimmed 2 minutes off of every show. Like, you didn't need the extra 8 minutes. That's a promo. That's a backstage vignette. That's something that you can elevate Liv and other.
You could have had a quick match with somebody.
You could get a quick 5 minute.
You could have got somebody over.
Trim it, bro. Like, come on. Like, this is 2025, and I know you got the extra hour, but it doesn't mean that you fill it with a promo that bores the shit out of everybody and makes everybody just pissed off. So that's what it was. Get to the point. Deliver your message, let everybody go, ooh, what's it mean? And get out of the ring. Like, you didn't need 30 minutes for this. Like, come on. Like, come on. We all know you're the man. You've done it. You've done your thing. But you deserve to walk out there whenever you feel like it. And I understand, hey, when The Rock wants to show up, we're going to change some things. But not at the expense of airtime. And that's where I can't wait for SmackDown. This is going to end. When SmackDown goes back to 2 hours, you don't need this kind of feel of filler. Like, I feel like they were filling it in like, shit, we don't have the show length that we need. Just go out there and do your thing. And that's where sometimes where you don't have direction, it comes off like that. So number one, it's a good idea. Everyone's intrigued. All right, what's Cody going to do? But Cody had the face like everybody had, like, what the hell's going on here? And I just think that The Rock, at his level, sets his own bar, and he did not meet it. And that's why everybody's disappointed.
He hasn't met it since he's come back.
Right, he hasn't had it.
I think that's the problem. And you said something. You said when they go back to 2 hours, you feel like a lot of this filler and a lot of this is going to kind of go away. I don't know if it does, though, with The Rock. I feel like when The Rock wants to show up, he tells them, like, hey, man, I'm showing up. Figure it out. And then they've got to scramble and they've got to figure it out. And he just goes out there and he kind of does what he wants to do because you could hear it in that promo on Friday night. He basically said, like, look, me and Ari Emanuel, we're like this. Yeah. He's 1, I'm 1B. Yeah. Like, I own WWE. WWE is me. I own this. I run this. This is my company. Yeah, like, you heard it in his voice, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I'm so mad right now.
Yeah, true.
At Vince McMahon. Listen, I'm mad at Vince McMahon for screwing everything up. And then just living his life so reckless where he starts trying to sex traffic women and just do all the stupid shit he does. Allegedly. And gets himself in all this trouble and then ends up selling his company. It's like, dude, what you needed to do is you needed to just give it to Stephanie and let Stephanie do her thing, which would then allow Triple H to do his thing. Could you imagine? I had this thought on Friday night as I was sitting here just getting more and more incensed by SmackDown. And the thought was, if Vince just did everything right, Vince just did things the way he should have just did things, and just handed the company to Stephanie, and then allowed Triple H to run what a Triple H has to run, could you imagine how much better this product would be? Could you imagine how much more normal it would be? Because you can see you can see the UFC or you could see the TKO touches, right? The whole thing with Netflix, I get it. Netflix was a huge deal for WWE. I get it. But that first episode and a lot of the stuff with Netflix, it's very TKO. This stuff with The Rock and the constant shuffling of the scripts, that's very, very TKO and The Rock because of TKO. There are these little things that are very much not WWE. They're very much TKO / UFC. The pandering to all of the people in the crowd all of the time, that's very TKO. It's very UFC. WWE would show you a star or two that are ringside, but they don't do it the entire episode and just keep cutting back and cutting back and cutting back. It's like, all right, cool, man. There's celebrities in your seats. Who cares? Let's get back to the action in the ring. If this was all done properly, I feel like WWE would be such a much better show.
Okay,
and I point to what NXT used to be. Yeah. NXT used to be. NXT is very good, but I point to what NXT was back in the day. NXT was fantastic, and that's what I feel like you would have got.
You and I definitely love wrestling. We're very inside. We know stuff before it happens. We pay attention. How many people do you think are like our guy Adam Salgett, who are just like, "Oh, it's cool, it's The Rock," and they don't care? Like, look, it's one of those things where what we used to complain about AEW, where it's like, look, we know we got the hardcore fans. They're going to hate it, love it, whatever. They're going to talk about it. But if we can just get the Hollywood crowd, we can get others to just kind of pay attention to it. Yeah, it's going to be corny and weird. But do you think this is for the casual fan? Because, look, even a guy like Adam S. is like, yeah, this is cool. It's like, well, okay, it's The Rock, and there's a story developing, and it's interesting. But how much do you think the appeal to the, like, hey, look, one of those deals like Logan Paul, where, like, look, you're going to upset a certain portion of the loyal fans, but the man is a mega star. He's got all these Instagram followers. I thought that promo that he did on his social media, on his Twitter and Instagram with the Rolex was pretty sweet. And now that was to WrestleMania, but it's like one of those deals where we're never going to get everything perfect, where it's the great idea, great story, great segment, great matches all in one. There's something always going to be there that's going to be missing. And with The Rock, it's like one of those deals where you know how much control Triple H has with Road Dogg and what they want to do. They didn't care because they realized, oh shit, look at all the metrics, look at all the social media numbers we got. And I think too, here's the crazy part, cuz I don't think they care about ratings. Like, I don't think they have to care anymore. They're like, and it kind of highlighted what Rock said after in the press conference, which is, hey, we're telling a story. We're making people, he acknowledged that it was weird. He's like, we're out there and we're about to confuse people, and it doesn't have to culminate in a match. We're just telling a story. And they're like, hey, what does a story need? It needs time. Where we're like, you and I are radio guys, where we're like, 12-minute segment, let's get to the next topic, let's get out by an hour and 5 minutes. These guys are like, fuck it, we got the time, we own the time, we can tell this story as slow as we want, even though you and I are like, come on, get to the next thing. But they're telling this story. Why? Because it's going to have reverberations for WrestleMania 42. So they set it up, and I think that The Rock just needs the best way to put it is you can't just let The Rock go unfiltered. Give him bullet points. Tell him, look, we need, boom.
Yeah.
You want 25 minutes? We need just 12. Come on, Rock. Think about this. We could get Liv Morgan some more time. We could get another star in here. Just 12 minutes. Say what you need to say it succinctly, and let's get to the next thing. And at the end, you could even say, if you want 25 minutes, okay, 12 minutes in the ring. You go back, you recap it a little bit, and then you go up to Cody and you go say, hey, have you thought about it? And Cody could just be like, bro, it's been 6 minutes. He's like, hey, in this world, we need answers right away or I'll change my mind. I could find somebody else. And then he walks off. Like, you build a little tease and layers, and you make it so that Cody feels a little pressure. And he goes, hey, or Rock could interject a little personal family stuff, but behind the scenes, he goes, hey, remember what your dad wanted for you? I think you're close to getting it. Don't drop the ball. And he looks at him for that 2 seconds, a little bit of a pause, seriousness, where he goes, hey, don't drop the ball when it's handed to you. He looks at him seriously, and you walk off. You interject some realism into it. So I just think that... Well,
maybe you need to get with Brian Gurewitz and be the writer for The Rock, because The Rock has his own specific writer, and I don't know what Brian Gurewitz was freaking thinking, because it was... whatever it was, it was trash. Because I'll be honest with you, I like what you've just said. I like how you laid that out. That was much better than what we got.
It's simple because we know the premise. What we're saying is I love the premise. So when you were texting Raging, I said, okay, I know what Adam's saying. Let me think deeper on this. What are they trying to accomplish? And then I just said, what would I do to get there a little bit tighter? And then you play into the idea of, the morality of, I want to be the guy, but I also could set up my family forever by being aligned with the corporate. That's the age-old story. They've told the story 50 times, but the way they got there was just long and drawn out. And I think that in a show with where they're at now, basically here's where you're mad at. Adam's mad because for the last year under Triple H, they've been tight, succinct, segments make sense, entertaining, move it along. This reminded Cuz of AEW kind of going like, what the heck is this? They kind of went lazy in regards to the succinctness of delivering a story, and they just said, okay, Rock, do whatever the hell you want at the expense of quality. It's basically like...
Dude, there was a point where I texted you, and I said, this show, this specific episode in this segment is worse than bad AEW.
Yeah.
And we hammer AEW.
And Triple H even acknowledged it. He's like, look, we do 250 shows a year. Do you really think, honestly, all of them are going to be good? He's like, use your brain. No, they're not all going to be good. So this one is bad. I think they're going to rebound next week, and it'll be much better. Look at how much we thought that the first Raw on Netflix was a little bit down. They came back and have put together a nice little streak here of shows. So, unfortunately, the WWE is the gold standard. SmackDown sucked. And I think they'll rebound. I think they got the message. When you see the first couple tweets, one of them will be from me. It was like, they said, hey, what do you guys think of the Rock segment? And all of it was terrible. I love the Scorsese absolute ass. I just said abort. And so the whole, they read it. They know it. They're like, oh shit, we pissed off the fans on this one. They'll get back on track because, trust me, WWE knows what's going on. Triple H saw it. He was like, oh, okay. And now they'll react accordingly. It'll get better. It's a one-off. It was shit. Unfortunately, we spent 3 hours watching it, but it'll get better, especially with what Cody's going to be faced with over the next year.
Look, I hope it gets better.
It's going to get better.
And look, you said a lot of very smart things. You said, I don't believe that they care about ratings anymore. I agree with you 110%. I think that they know where they're at. I think they know that they have an audience, and I think that they can sell their product to anybody. And I think having to deal with Netflix just kind of ensures where they're at for a very long time. So I don't think they care about ratings. Again, my big issue with all of this is The Rock just kind of shows up and then everything gets thrown up in the air. And you're right. I like it tight. I like it succinct. I like it to make sense. I like us I'm not expecting every show to hit it out of the park. I will say this. Triple H usually does a very good job. He lays out a very good show. And even his bad shows, I'm like, it was still a good show. There was still some redeeming stuff. Was it a great show? No. Did it move some stuff along, or did it lay some stuff down? Because we both understand how wrestling works. Not every show is going to be this one that it's like, oh my God. Some of it's got to do a little bit of the legwork to get you to the next episode. This show, I don't know what it was. I don't think anybody really benefited from this episode. If you want to say Jey Uso because he got a win over Drew McIntyre, sure. If you want to say little boys because you got a Tiffany Stratton nipple flash, but I don't know where we're going with any of this, and it felt awful and it felt weird. And maybe the big thing coming out of this was New Orleans is getting WrestleMania next year. Maybe that was the big thing. Maybe the entire show was that 4-minute segment where The Rock announces where WrestleMania is going to go. Maybe that was it. Maybe that's the whole thing with what SmackDown was. And if that's the case, then I guess I got to take it, and it is what it is. But I thought overall SmackDown was absolute trash.
Well, I'll say this. I may change my mind because I just re-saw the nip slip. Maybe the nip slip saved the whole show. You never know. Because I did perk up watching it again in a still, so I sent it to you. So that's what it is. That's what it'll be known for. The nip slip episode of The Rock going far too long, and that's what it is.
All right, let's switch gears. Let's talk AEW here. So off the heels of a very impressive event with Grand Slam. Grand Slam, a little bit of controversy just because of some of the stuff that went on with the setup of it, specifically the ring. They had to get a ring from a local indie promoter. So the ring normally 20 by 20. This ring was 18 by 18. It looked small in the space that they had allotted for it. But otherwise, it was a really good show, a really fantastic show. Quickly to kind of highlight some of the moments, you had Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay win their match against Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. You had Toni Storm win the women's championship from Mariah May. You had a lot of really good wrestling on this program. And we opened up with a very hot promo between Hangman Page and MJF. I want to get your thoughts on these two kind of going back and forth and jousting with each other. Now, there was a rule that they couldn't touch each other. They physically couldn't touch each other because obviously tensions are so high between them. But they both went after each other, and they both kind of exposed some of their vulnerabilities. They both kind of talked about what each other's big hangup is, where MJF is still having problems that the fans don't respect him or don't like him, and he struggles with that. And you have Hangman dealing with, obviously, his drinking, Hangman taking out Christopher Daniels. And look, Hangman's comeback to the whole thing about Christopher Daniels was absolutely fantastic. I thought it was heartfelt. I thought it was genuine. I thought it was really, really good. It kind of showed some of that vulnerability with him. I thought it was awesome. This ends up breaking down, and MJF ends up spitting in Hangman's face, and then they have to get separated by security. I thought this was really, really well done, especially since we're trying to build this segment between these two. I thought this was fantastic. What did you think of this promo between these two guys?
It was great. Definitely intriguing. I thought that, hearkening back to, MJF kind of searching for or wanting something from the crowd that he hasn't gotten, or that kind of hearkening back to something from the past was great. And I just think that for MJF, he does got to kind of step it forward, would stop saying the same things. I'm better than you, and you've done this and I've done that. He needs to kind of, when he does his heel tactics, kind of cut a little bit deeper personal, maybe with Hangman, letting him know that, hey, I hope this feud happens because, you're known to be a loose cannon, and I hope we can do business together because you're somebody that has showcased some looseness and some irresponsibility, and play to the fact that you're your own worst enemy. I'm here doing the thing, and I'm the best. So you're just another step in the roadblock of my success, and another notch in my belt. So I just think there's some more creative stuff because MJF is kind of falling on the same repetitive stuff that gets him heat. As a heel, you got to constantly reinvent yourself and maybe be a little personal. But at the bottom line, whatever said, the segment was great. It kept your attention. You just want to see. This is one of those ones where let's get to the ring. Let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And I hope we get multiple matches from it. Look, I feel like this was I feel like all of the good stuff in this AEW Dynamite was very promo heavy. I thought some of the stuff we got into the ring, and we're going to talk about that here in a few moments, was very lackluster. But I thought Toni Storm ends up coming out. I thought she cut a great promo. I've said it multiple times. I feel like she's doing her best work right now. I feel like she is the face of the women's division. I thought she cut a fantastic promo. She was able to work in multiple dick jokes and multiple package jokes throughout her promo. And I'm curious to see where we go, who her next challenge is, because she named a lot of different names, and I'm wondering which direction they end up going with her. I think she is putting out some of the highest quality work, whether it's in the ring or whether it's her promo or whether it's just her character. I think she's absolutely fantastic. And I think she can go head to head with the guys who just had a very hot promo earlier that opened the show. What are your thoughts on Toni Storm right now? Did you enjoy her promo? Did you enjoy it? Because you have a very sophomoric sense of humor. Did you enjoy all of the dick jokes that she worked in there? A lot of the double entendres she worked into her promo.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, not so much, huh?
No, look, I like I like the delivery. It was great. The content was great, but I like Toni Storm. I don't like timeless Toni Storm compared to just Toni Storm. You know what I mean? The energetic, effervescent, professional wrestler. Right. I think Timeless is the second best version of her. Okay. I get it. I get what they do, and she's somebody that can have multiple gimmicks and she can do her thing. But I thought just Toni Storm is just somebody that can just tap into her Becky Lynch and her inner man kind of thing and just do what you got to do. You don't need to kind of spice it up a little bit with all that. So I look. She's great. She's attention grabbing. But at the same token, going back to Grand Slam, listen, all that ring shit was just drama. I would have just kept Mariah May as a champion. I thought Mariah May is the hotter version of what men want to see. And I think that there was maybe more money in the chase with Toni Storm. Like a loss wouldn't have been terrible. I know it's in her home country and all that kind of stuff. But I just thought that Mariah May, you kind of cut the title reign off at her knees, and that's not helping the women. So that's kind of where the judgment comes in, is that I was a big fan of Mariah May. I would have done it that. But yeah, check out Grand Slam. And the good thing is that we'll have an opportunity now moving forward with AEW to check out more of their PLEs with the streaming service. And I'm excited for where AEW could go with the women, but they got to kind of now just push a little bit harder for these women to deliver and get their feuds. But I'm going to say this. Harley Cameron and some of the new women that are showing up, they have what they call it. And I'm like, wow, catching some attention here with some of these AEW ladies. And I've been impressed with some of the newcomers and the work that they're doing, as well as some of the stuff. I know we rail on AEW's women crew, but Chris Statlander's doing good work. Her opponent, I'm going to get her name again, but wow, when she shows up to the ring, you got to look at her.
I want to get your thoughts on Megan Bayne. I want to get your thoughts on this match. So Megan Bayne and Chris Statlander end up having a match. I thought it was a very good match. And I think Megan Bayne has a look. Megan Bayne has a persona in the ring. Megan Bayne carries herself really well. What did you think of this match? I thought this match was a lot of fun. I thought it was very good.
It was like Megan Bayne has an entrance
afterwards. And we'll get to that in a moment. But I want to get your thoughts on this match.
Yeah, Megan Bayne, I think, has the total package. And I think that when you have it, you now have opportunities to get to the next level. She's over. And I think when people go, whoa, let's look at her for a minute, you just have to look at her. And I was impressed with what she delivered. Total package. Now you elevate the star. When you got something there to start with, that can only mean good things for this performer. Let's highlight her. Let's get her some wins, and let's get her some opportunities to tell some stories, because, yeah, she's got it. Megan Bayne's got it.
And the heels don't want to leave the ring. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, what are we doing? I feel like Thunder Rosa just ruined this entire segment because she wouldn't swing a chair at anybody. And the heels didn't get the memo to leave the arena or leave the ring. When you were watching this, were you like, what the F is going on here?
Yeah, it wasn't as clean, right? What could have been done better? It wasn't as clean. I thought you're absolutely right. It could have been executed so much better. It just was sloppy. Best way to put it, right? That's what my note said.
Yeah, I think it was absolutely sloppy. I thought it was poorly done. I didn't think it was very good at all. You have Roderick Strong. He loses to Orange Cassidy. The storyline with the conglomeration is absolutely horrible. So you have Kyle O'Reilly mention the conglomeration. You then have Roderick Strong go out there and lose his match. At what point, what do you do with a guy like Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly? These guys are all big names, yet you can't take them serious at this point.
It's hard to take them seriously. What's difficult with what's going on with them is that they're using their old gimmick to try and relive something now, but unfortunately, it just hasn't been to the point where you want to invest more. You kind of want it to end. And that's never a good thing. I think with the opportunity that they've had, I just think that there's an opportunity for this group individually to have bigger success. I shudder to think what is going to be the future, because there's been so many stops and starts. I wonder what the value is going to be moving forward, because look, in the end, I guess the best way to put it is, am I interested and invested in that group? Not as much, but their characters. I just think that Adam Cole, you never want to be perceived as being lower than what you are. And I just think that he's a mega star, and he's kind of been, just with injuries and kind of the 2 years that he's had, I don't think they capitalized on the star that they got. And I just am of the opinion that he could do so much more for the company. I just hope they take advantage of him moving forward. I just don't need the group. I just think that Kyle O'Reilly, Fletcher, all can be mega stars on their own, but they're not. So, we talk about what we want. What do you think could be best? Like, okay, if we don't want them to go forward, what could be best for them?
Yeah, and look, I don't know what that is, right? Because I feel like specifically with this match, I feel like you could have done anything to help Roderick Strong win this match, right? You could have had Kyle O'Reilly interfere and take out Orange Cassidy, leading to Roderick Strong winning this match. And I feel like that would have helped move a storyline along. I feel like that would have helped add a layer of realism to this. That would have showed where Kyle O'Reilly's true affiliations lie, and it's with Undisputed Kingdom and not the conglomeration. It's little things like this that are just subtle, right? And like Roderick Strong gets a win, and look, you're a heel group, you do heel things, you get heel wins. It doesn't matter. A win's a win if you're a heel. And you now have this storyline with Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly. And yet you choose to not do any of that. Roderick loses clean in the middle of the ring, and we're all just left here with our hands rubbing our face and scratching our butt. And we're just kind of like, what is going on here? You just don't know what the direction is for these guys, because they feel like they are rudderless right now. They feel like they are very directionless. And I don't know what to do with any of them, because like you said, right? I feel like Adam Cole is the face of the group. Adam Cole is the guy. Adam Cole, at this moment in time, if you were buying a stock, it feels like his stock is as low as it's ever been. Roderick Strong has always been a guy who's been a bit of a mid-carder, right? He's talented in the ring. The guy can move. I think he can put together a good story. The problem is he can't cut a very convincing promo. So he's always been kind of boxed in with this weird little glass ceiling. And Kyle O'Reilly has kind of always been just like a slight notch above Roderick Strong. Kind of in that same area, has the ability to bubble up and be a higher mid-card guy, but they're mid-card guys, and you just, at this point, these guys feel like they are guys that you're just going to roll out to the ring and they're just going to get rode out on, and you're just going to use them as a squash match, and that's kind of where they're at. It's incredibly frustrating to watch what this is, and then the storylines just don't make sense, and I just don't know. And again, it could be something as simple as Kyle O'Reilly just getting involved in the match and costing Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy goes to do a move off the ropes, and Kyle O'Reilly just kind of trips him, and it allows Roderick Strong to take advantage, and he ends up getting a win. It's simple, man. Simple stuff. I'm frustrated because I don't know what's going on. I don't know where these guys are going, and having this dualistic Kyle O'Reilly, right? Conglomeration, Undisputed Kingdom, him being where he's at. I don't get it. And the backstage promo wasn't any better. Didn't help explain anything. Let's close on a positive note here. All right. Again, I thought promos were very good on this show. I thought you had MJF and Hangman cut a great promo to open. I thought Tony Storm's promo was fantastic. I think Ricochet also cut a very good promo. And this is something we can usually not say about Ricochet. Usually Ricochet struggles cutting promos. It's the one weak link that he has. Do we feel like he's turning the corner, or was this a one-off? Because I thought his promo was very, very good, especially with Prince Nana coming to the ring and confronting him. What did you think of Ricochet's promo? Is this the new Ricochet? Is this the guy that we've been promised that we were going to get forever and a day? Or is this just kind of, he had a good night?
This is where it needs to go. It was very solid, very much in line with where a heel needs to go. It was perfectly delivered, and I think he's getting more comfortable now. Remember, too, this is just his first couple months with this new iteration of Ricochet. I thought it was well delivered, and now he can tap into the heel side and get reactions that are negative. I thought his ending delivery was solid, and Nana as well gets credit for really highlighting the impact of the loss of his robe to Ricochet. So kudos to the parties involved, and I think what will end up happening is Swerve Ricochet will be a classic. It'll be a nice feud that should have everything wrapped up nicely with a good idea, good concept, good backstage, good everything, and the match will be killer with Ricochet and Swerve.
Yeah, I think the match is going to be fantastic because obviously Ricochet's strength is in the ring. It's just, I was so surprised by his promo. I thought his promo was absolutely fantastic this week. And I'm hoping, like you said, he's turning the corner and this is where it needs to go. So we'll see what takes place. We'll see what happens. Was there anything else from AEW that really stood out to you?
Yeah, just continue. Now, Dustin Runnels said that he signed. He's going to retire as an AEW roster member. I think it's great. I think that you continue to highlight what he's done on social media, the way he does with the company. Look, Big Bill, I think, could be a character that's a mid-card guy that could take the next step forward. And I do think that the nasty match that Hobbs had with Bill was pretty sick. And good to see Hobbs kind of get his what he needs to be as a big monster. So some of the mid-card guys in AEW, kind of also the monsters, can get some opportunities to get over here in 2025, and hopefully they do.
Yeah, I thought Powerhouse Hobbs had a fantastic match against Big Bill. Him getting busted open and bleeding a little bit, I think it added to that match. Yes. I thought it was really, really well done. What was your show of the week this week?
I agree with you. It was Raw. Raw was the show of the week, and I thought that now hopefully SmackDown can recover. But at the same token, TNA, Joe Henry is doing the work needed to try and get John Cena over to TNA. He did a great song, and he talked about, hey, for the guy that can't see me, come on over. And Moose and his work with NXT should be very solid with Oba, and I think that everybody definitely loves the work that's being done there. So it's going to be fun to see. This TNA partnership has really been rewarded. TNA creeping up with some interest, some good shows, some good storyline angles, and the Hardys are going to show up on NXT for a tag match. So that's always intriguing, as well as the NXT TNA partnership kicks off, and now every week there's a surprise as to who shows up. So it's been fun.
Well, speaking of TNA, you ready for some news and notes?
Hit me with this week's professional wrestling news and notes. What made your list?
So this big TNA name was expected to sign here, but may end up going down the street. There's been an update on the future of two-time former TNA Wrestling World Champ Josh Alexander. Amid reports of interest from AEW and WWE, following the airing of his final match in TNA on last week's episode of Impact, Alexander is now officially a free agent after his TNA contract expired on February 14th. According to those within the industry and close to Alexander, a recent report from Fightful Select reveals that he is expected to join AEW. While early reports and expectations were that WWE was going to be his landing spot, as WWE has also been linked to Alexander. PW Insider's Mike Johnson has provided a new update, noting that Alexander is in negotiations with several companies and is being represented by Barry Bloom amid his free agency. The word is Alexander wants a big money deal and is looking to sign with the company that offers the most money up front. A WWE contract would almost certainly mean starting in NXT, and those contracts are capped at a certain limit. So could be ending up in AEW. Now, a crazy story about a wrestler wrestling with no fear. WWE star revealed that they've been wrestling with a torn bicep for the past 3 years. Undefeated in singles competition since his debut on January 13th, Penta has racked up wins over the likes of Chad Gable, Ludwig Kaiser, and Pete Dunne now twice, as well as an Iron Man performance in the 2025 Royal Rumble. While his start to life in WWE has been impressive, the former AEW star dropped a bombshell in an appearance on Sheamus's Celtic Warrior workouts, making the recent performance even more remarkable. While doing some bicep curls in his workout, Penta revealed that he has a broken bicep, quote unquote, a broken bicep. In response, Sheamus asked if it was torn, to which Penta replied, yeah, before confirming it was torn. Explaining how the injury happened, Penta said, 3 years ago, one wrestler kicked me and broke my bicep. Penta then revealed that he's never got the injury fixed, but it still is fine to train. My man has been running around and flipping off of shit for 3 years with one arm that works normal and another one that's impaired. Absolutely bonkers, bro. Absolutely crazy. And if you see it, it's kind of gross. And like once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. All right. Now we finally have an update on Shane McMahon to AEW. Remember last summer, a report from Wrestle Talk and Fightful in July of 2024 documented that Shane McMahon met with AEW President Tony Khan at an airport in Arlington, Texas. Well, Sean Ross Sapp at the time reported that the meeting was to investigate the possibility moving forward. However, despite plenty of speculation afterwards regarding McMahon working with AEW or potentially appearing on AEW TV, nothing materialized. Since then, there has been little update on whether the two sides could still work together until this week. Former WWE announcer Jonathan Coachman claimed on Thursday on the Coach and Bro show that he knew details from the meeting between Khan and McMahon, leading to a follow-up report from Fightful Select. Detailed in the report, Coachman claimed that McMahon asked for equity in AEW during his meeting with Khan and allegedly wanted to come in and run the entire show, which led to Khan ghosting Shane afterwards. While Fightful couldn't verify Coachman's claim that McMahon wanted equity in AEW, several details were learned from a source close to McMahon. The source told Fightful that Khan did not follow up with McMahon after the meeting. While they couldn't confirm the claim that Shane wanted equity in AEW, it did seem like he wanted to run things, but didn't have much knowledge of AEW's product or business model. Despite Khan not following up with McMahon after the meeting, Shane didn't seem to take it personally, and it's reported that if Khan thought that Shane was joking when mentioning the possibility of running everything in AEW. According to sources, McMahon viewed his insight and ability to run a show as valuable after years of witnessing fans and people in the industry wanting something to replace his father, Vince, in his role in charge of WWE. The report notes that there was never an actual plan for Shane McMahon to appear on AEW TV or be involved in the company, with sources within AEW telling Fightful that Khan hasn't spoken about it extensively outside of the acknowledging that the meeting took place and that the two sides aren't working together. Despite that, the sources close to McMahon didn't rule out a potential cameo appearance in AEW, but didn't think that there would be any full business relationship between them at this stage. And finally, this former WWE star signs with TNA. Elijah, formerly Elias in WWE, showed up in the Impact Zone. Fightful Select revealed that the former WWE star is now officially signed with TNA. Elijah's signing with TNA comes just weeks after it was reported that he had signed with AEW after appearing in a vignette alongside ROH tag teams The Righteous. That's going to do it for this week's news and notes.
Make sure you follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSTROZ. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. Make sure you do like and subscribe. Listen, just kidding. We don't need your soul. We just need your time. Enjoy the shows. Listening minutes are always great. Thank you guys. Listening minutes are up. Thank you for your engagement. I love the fact that you guys respond to our wrestling takes. Little traction with talking about The Rock and Adam and what people are thinking in regards to The Rock's involvement. And hey, if you disagree, if you think everything was cool and you want to see the final boss Rock go back and forth and take Cody's soul, or do you want to see Cody turn heel? Let us know. Maybe there's an opportunity here for somebody else to turn heel that we've all said should maybe take advantage of being the corporate champion. You never know how things can play out. So we shall see as WWE tells their stories and on the road to WrestleMania. And like you said, and then just real quickly, the Sunday show, LFG, was great. It really does highlight what it takes to, but it's not really groundbreaking in that if you've watched Tough Enough, it's the same thing. It's like, hey, these young cats want to come in, but I think the idea of working with Undertaker, Bully Ray, Booker T, Mickey James, the dynamic of the teachers is really cool to see as they work with the stars and they pick apart who's next. You can clearly see dudes that have it, and you can clearly see those that are going to fall by the wayside. It's very cool, as well as Legends is back and Greatest Moments as well. So Sunday night on, if you just want some entertainment for WWE and wrestling, A&E does a great job when they have their seasons of content. Make sure anywhere you listen to podcasts, just type in Detroit Sports Podcast, and our content will find you. Easy. And then if you like what you're listening to, just tell one other person, hey, these fellas have been going strong since 2013, and we love now that we've been staples talking about wrestling now for the better part of 5-6 years. So it's been fun, and let's see what happens as WWE continues their road to WrestleMania. AEW is pushing forward toward Revolution, which is shaping up to be a great card. March, going to be a great month, and I think it's a legendary month for a lot of reasons. If you want to know why, stay tuned to the next couple episodes of the DocNJock Wrestling Podcast.